Jason Biggs shocked Hollywood with American Pie. Overnight, he became one of the biggest young stars in comedy, but almost as quickly as he rose to fame, everything started falling apart. He struggled to escape the shadow of American Pie, turned down one of the biggest TV shows of the century, and behind the scenes, his life got very dark. Jason wasn't even supposed to be an actor. His sister was trying to make it in the industry, but instead, her agent grew obsessed with him.
My mother says that she got a call from Barbara Jarrett saying, she had already met me. I accompanied my sister before in the city and stuff. And she's like, would you take Jason out? I've got an audition for him and whatever. And I just took to it. I loved it, So I started doing commercials and voiceovers and stuff.
And in the blink of an eye, he became a high-demand child actor, spending most of his childhood going from audition to audition and booking roles at an absurdly high rate. You'd probably expect a kid in Jason's shoes to have self-esteem through the roof and to be the cool kid at school, but he actually said this was the exact opposite.
As I was questioning myself and feeling bad about myself and not fitting in, I'd be in Jersey and go to school and it'd be hard making friends, but I'd go on an audition and I'd make the casting director laugh, or I'd get this job and I'd be in a commercial and everyone would be like, oh my God, you're so good. And that was a validation that in a lot of ways, saved me through my childhood.
While his head start no doubt gave him a leg up and would eventually help him land his role in American Pie, it fundamentally changed his childhood and robbed him of many important experiences.
I missed out on a lot of normal childhood things, kid stuff. I just really, didn't have a whole lot of friends. And the friends that I had, I would come in to work in New York. I was in Jersey, so that's where I grew up. Very close by, but, so close yet so far away, that kind of thing.
But as he moved into his teenage years, he'd only further climb the ladder. No longer was he just limited to commercials, modeling, and print, but he'd land his first major TV role. Drexel's Class was a sitcom on Fox, and looked like the beginning of Biggs' rise to fame. Except, there was a major problem. After one season, they decided to move in a different direction.
Basically got fired, I guess, when I was 12. You learn very young. You're like, okay, it's a gangster industry, man, especially TV.
But somehow, this led to an even bigger opportunity, because almost immediately afterwards, he landed the opportunity to star in a play alongside Judd Hirsch, who is best known for Ordinary People and A Beautiful Mind. The play was Conversations with My Father and would go on Broadway, which is something he still cherishes to this day and views as his first opportunity at real freedom.
I think part of it was being out of town and being in an apartment that way. It was just like my first time on the West Coast, and it was very foreign and exotic, and I had adult hours, but I remember leading up to our previews being beyond excited.
This really propped him up because he parlayed the success of this into one of the most unlikely of places for Jason Biggs, and that was a soap opera. But it wasn't just any soap opera. It was one of the most prominent of all time. As the World Turns. This is the show he credits for his ability to memorize lines.
I already felt like I was pretty good at memorizing lines, but that really, because you do an episode a day. Even if you're not in all the scenes, just you have a lot of shit to learn.
It was even the reason why he got his first kiss.
They told me that they wanted to screen test a couple of girls. They sent me the pages, and the pages were for me to kiss the girls. I had never kissed a girl before.
When you were 16?
15. I was
You're like, yeah, kiss, whatever, yeah.
Freaking the out.
Wow.
To this day, I don't know if I've ever been more nervous. I was embarrassed, first of all.
Yeah,
right? Because I hadn't kissed anyone,
So you're standing there, what, sweating?
Sweating balls.
And on top of it all, he even got his first award nomination, being nominated for both a Soap Opera Digest Award and a Daytime Emmy. After this, he tried to live a normal young adult life. He went off to college at NYU and then did a very brief stint at Montclair State University, but the acting bug just wouldn't leave him alone, so he ended up auditioning for the television show Total Security, which was particularly huge because this was the television show that would lead to the direct chain of events of him ending up in American Pie.
Auditioned on a Tuesday, was living at my parents' house working at Gap Kids. Wednesday, I get the call that I need to fly to LA on Thursday to read for Stephen Bochco, the producer. Flew out to LA, read for Stephen, get the part, fly home on Friday, being told my first episode starts on Monday, pack my bags and fly back on Sunday. So it was like within a week, I went from that to being on a TV show in LA.
While it was great to be on a show airing on ABC, this too would be short-lived because it'd be canceled before the first season even finished airing. But instead of giving up or returning home like most would do, he saw this as an opportunity to lock in and get what was his.
19, I'd already dropped out of 2 colleges at that point and came out, did the show, it was canceled. And I said, you know what? I'm here. Like, this is my shot. I gotta take it.
And before long, he saw him staring at the audition that would change his life forever. American Pie.
You know, this was 1998, and it was kind of the summer of the teen comedy. The Porky's and those movies that had happened in the 70s, and then there was a new resurgence of these films, and I was auditioning for every single one of them. I read them all, auditioned for them all, would have been thrilled to get any of them.
And when you hear of all the different teen movies that he auditioned for, it's really insane to think just how different his life and career would have been if he had landed any of these instead.
I think She's All That. I think I auditioned for
10 Things I Hate About You.
I did.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I auditioned for 10 Things I Hate About You. I auditioned for, there's this movie Get Over It, which became Get Over Allison.
He really blew the directors away with his initial audition. So much so, they wanted to cast him on the spot. But there was a major issue. The studio didn't want him in the movie because he had 0 star power.
The name that apparently was being tossed about was Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement.
Oh, yeah.
Can't imagine what that movie would have looked like or been. And he apparently couldn't either because he backed away from it.
But after he said no, they essentially ran out of time and had no choice but to go with the director's wishes and cast Jason. Thankfully they did, because I just don't see anyone else pulling off Jim the way Jason did.
James, you're very good in the world history class, yes?
Me? Yeah, yes. No, yes.
This should really be a lesson to studios. Just cast the best actor. Who gives a fuck about star power? But Jason could tell every step of the way that American Pie was going to be truly special and unlike anything he'd ever done before.
Table read, you see the cast, you go, oh, this is special. Me and Eugene doing our scenes, we're doing a rehearsal, we're improvising, we're like, oh, this is special. Everything.
And out of all the screenplays I've personally read, American Pie is no doubt top tier. When it came time to film the infamous pie scene, Jason had second thoughts.
To the day of, I'm calling my manager, freaking out, going, am I really gonna do this? Because what if what if this bombs? What if no one sees it? But I'm still the guy that did that, put myself out there in such a crazy way.
But he, of course, followed through with it, and it went on to become one of the most celebrated scenes in the movie. You even see the apple pie with a hole in it on the poster. And in the end, he said filming American Pie was one of the most fun experiences he's had in his entire life. Despite how much fun it was, the movie was infamous for not paying well, with Seann William Scott and Shannon Elizabeth making only thousands for their supporting roles, and Jason making well under $100,000 despite being the lead role.
A little bit of dough. I mean, it was scale but it's still scale for a movie. It was like, oh, cool, man. I got like, whatever it was. It was like 50,000 or something, which is, after taxes, whatever. I mean, I put $15,000, $20,000 in the bank, maybe more, 30,000, whatever it was.
That's decent money for a 20-year-old. But the issue is that there was a year between when they wrapped filming and when the movie actually came out, so Jason had no idea if the movie would be a hit or if he would be back on the brutal stretch of auditioning once again.
That was probably the craziest time for me because we knew we had this movie. We had the best time doing it. We shot it. We were like, this could be something. I mean, it's like the pie, like what the fuck? We did some crazy shit. We're like, feels better than all this other shit that I'm paying money to go see or that I auditioned for. But we still didn't really know.
But before too long, the signs really started to point towards American Pie having a huge opening.
They were like, we want this to come out in the summer. And they picked a weekend in the summer, and then it got closer, and then another movie moved away from us apparently because they all of these little signs started happening that we were like, oh fuck, man, this could be a big fucking deal.
That was the movie of the summer.
Yeah,
and it was no joke. Because in July of 1999, American Pie opened to $18.7 million, and in the end, grossed a total of $235 million off of a modest $11 million budget. And within hours of the premiere, Jason realized his life would never be the same.
We literally had to cross Wilshire Boulevard, and the car stops at the red light, and we start walking across, and the car beeps, and then these dudes hang their heads out the window, and they're like, oh my God, dude, do the dance. do the dance. This was
Wow.
the next morning. It was just this surreal kind of thing where I knew and he knew, and I think he said, like, dude, your life, that's it. It's not going to be the same.
Which was something that would become common for him.
Weirdest thing a woman ever said to me was, it was in a crowded bar and she whispered in my ear, she said, how would you like to try my apple pie?
And he really took advantage of the moment. Knowing the movie would only be in theaters for a few months, he made a point to sneak into showings.
Paul Weitz, who was one of the co-directors, Eddie K. Thomas went and who played Finch in the movies, went and saw, snuck into the back of a theater. We paid, but then snuck into the back of a theater and listened and watched. And
What
then
was
I think
that like?
it was surreal.
American Pie didn't just change Jason's life, it completely reshaped the teen comedy genre. Jason wasn't just the guy from American Pie. Hollywood was trying to turn him into the next big comedy superstar. Any financial anxiety Jason had immediately disappeared because he had offers every which way and right away jumped on board to star in 2 films.
Having like no money in the bank, not knowing if I'm ever going to work, to having this movie come out. I'm casting these 2 other movies.
And they're greenlit because of you.
And they're greenlit because of me.
The movies were Loser, which was directed by Fast Times at Ridgemont High director Amy Heckerling and starred American Pie cast member Mina Suvari. And then Boys and Girls with Freddie Prinze Jr. and even a cameo by American Pie star Allison Hannigan. The circumstances were quite unique because both movies were shot at the same time in different countries. So he had a private jet that would fly him in between sets. Something that really blew Freddie Prinze Jr.'s mind.
I'm flying right from set. I got to go back to Toronto to film tomorrow in Toronto. And he's like, oh, well, I think we're going to be done super late here. Like, what time is your flight? And I had told him, well, there's a jet waiting for me. And he was like, what? Like, I was just his supporting, like, dude,
Yeah.
I've never done, I was like the American Pie kid, but, he was Freddie. He was already like,
Dude,
he was Mr. Romantic Comedy, teen romantic comedy lead guy. He'd been doing it for a few years.
It genuinely looked like Jason was about to be comedy's next leading man, but this chapter was short-lived, and he was really brought back down to earth with the colossal failures of each of these movies. The problem was that Hollywood had no idea how to actually use Jason Biggs. Loser grossed only $18.4 million off of a $20 million budget, and Boys and Girls did even worse, with $25.8 million off of a $30 million budget. I actually really liked Loser. Boys and Girls, not so much. Both definitely suffered from the incompetent marketing strategies of Miramax, but also because they were so tonally different from American Pie. I mean, it was just jarring to see Jason go from this
Oh no, I'm not done, Nadia. I've got reserves.
to this.
Hey, how's it going? Hey, how you doing? Exactly how far can you bend over?
He also did Saving Silverman the following year, which was yet another loss, grossing only $26.1 million off of a $22 million budget. And remember, theaters keep roughly half of box office revenues, so these numbers are way worse than they appear. And just like that, Jason lost essentially all of the momentum he had built up. And for the first time since American Pie exploded, Jason's future looked very uncertain. It really looked like Jason's rise to fame might already be over. That was until the American Pie sequel came in and saved him at the buzzer. And this really was a last-second save, because the studio was originally never planning to make a sequel.
They were like, well, we're not going to make a sequel. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're making a sequel. Chris and Paul, I believe, were busy on another project. I had just done a movie for Fox, and so it seemed like a natural fit to bring me in and have me direct the second one. The timeline on it was totally crunched. At night after we get done shooting, we'd be kind of rewriting as we were going, particularly hers was.
I don't think it was as good as the original, but it was definitely one of the better comedy sequels.
You ready to break up?
You big stupid dummy!
I don't care if you are the best lay I've ever had in my life. I hate your guts anyway.
Don't say that.
Don't you go being all super sexy guy anymore because I am now impervious to your unrelenting machismo and sexual ardor.
We had something special.
And more importantly, it was proof that Jason could still open a movie, as it outperformed the original, bringing in nearly $300 million on a $30 million budget. But he decided to change things up entirely after this victory. He rode the momentum, not by booking another film role, but by making his return to theater for the first time in a decade.
Very active in trying to get back on the stage. And, you know, Broadway shows and off-Broadway shows, they started using TV and
starring
movies.
sitcom stars?
Yeah. What I really want to do is another play. It's been 10 years. I heard that they were bringing The Graduate. I was like, yeah.
So he starred alongside Kathleen Turner and Alicia Silverstone. Though this dream was short-lived, because during its run, out of the middle of nowhere, he got a call from one of the most prolific directors of all time and really put himself in quite the bind.
It was one of those things where I was like, I don't pass this up, right? There's
one shot at that.
There's one shot at this, and I went and talked to everyone, and I wanted their blessing.
That makes sense.
Was what it was. I just
Sure.
wanted to tell them that, listen, I have this opportunity, and everyone across the board was like, yeah, you're Woody Allen? Yeah, oh my God, I'm my pants right now. Kathleen was not happy that I was leaving to do that.
The movie was called Anything Else and gave Jason one of the most unique experiences he's ever had on set.
If you didn't do good in a take, he would just come in and be like, that was terrible. That was not, we need to do another one. He's like, okay, all right, look, it's 6 o'clock. We can stop now and I can put that last take in the movie, but I'm afraid that when you're sitting in the premiere next to your parents, when this scene comes up, they'll fall asleep right when this happens. Then we can keep that in the movie if you want that to happen, or we can go again. I guess I'll have another take. It was so nerve-wracking, but it was ultimately one of the best experiences.
I actually really liked this movie. I was shocked to see the critics panned it so hard. I thought Jason, along with the rest of the cast, really put on stellar performances.
I figured, what the hell, so I finished off the cold spaghetti in the refrigerator and I ate that last lobster tail and then I heated up some chicken pot pie.
Jesus, is there any furniture left in the house? Why do you put these paranoid thoughts in my head?
What's she on a diaphragm? You know what? Why isn't she on the pill?
It's hormonal. The pill makes her crazy.
The pill makes her crazy? She is crazy. The Pentagon should use her hormones for chemical warfare.
But no one loved this movie more than Tarantino, as he views this as one of the greatest movies ever made.
These are the films that I admire the most that have come out since I have become a director myself. Would be Woody Allen's Anything Else. That's the Jason Biggs one.
But once again, the same exact problem came back to haunt him. If the movie wasn't American Pie, audiences just weren't going to show up. Anything Else was yet another flop, bringing in $13.6 million with a budget of $18 million. But he got bailed out with yet another American Pie sequel, this time American Wedding.
I'm now doing my third American Pie movie that summer. Biggest paycheck still that I've gotten to date. Probably always will be.
$75,000. Go ahead.
This was actually supposed to be the last American Pie movie, but spoiler alert, it wasn't.
There's no part 4 for the same reason that we pared the cast down for this one, is once you've seen a character mature, which is what happens in this one. I mean, even Stifler has a little character arc. What else can we do that's still fresh and entertaining and new? And so I want to call it quits.
But this is actually my favorite of the 3 sequels. As an all-around movie, I don't think you'll ever top the original. I mean, that's my favorite movie of all time, but American Wedding is the funniest of the 4.
Tall Oaks. That was the summer when,
No, the summer that was so hot.
So hot.
And just like the first 2, it didn't disappoint financially, grossing $231 million on a $55 million budget. And yet again, it momentarily revived Jason's career. Then came the decision that could have completely changed the trajectory of Jason's career for the better. Because shortly after American Wedding, he'd get a call to star in one of the most iconic sitcoms of the 21st century, alongside Allison Hannigan, who he had built quite the reputation with. But he decided to turn it down, and it still haunts him to this day.
Is there truth that you were supposed to be Ted Mosby on How I Met Your Mother?
I was offered the role, yes. It's probably my biggest regret, I'm passing. At the time, it was like, okay, do I want to do TV? I don't know that I was quite ready to go that route.
And this was particularly unfortunate because it was around this time where the calls just stopped coming in. studios no longer trusted Jason. He only did a couple of comedies in the following 8 years. Wedding Days, which had a couple of funny moments, but was largely a cash grab that flopped. And My Best Friend's Girl, which I thought was okay, and essentially broke even at the box office. One silver lining, though, is that he met his wife on the set.
My Best Friend's Girl, that was when I was like 20, I don't know, how old were we when we met? We were like 27 or something.
Seeing how few opportunities were available, he decided to give TV a shot with a show called Mad Love. But once again, things completely fell apart.
I do want to be on TV, and then I take a crack at, I get another development deal, and I make a pilot, and I and I get on TV in this one series, and it bombs. And I go, now I can't even, now I'm having trouble in even the TV. Now I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go do TV.
My fallback.
And just like that, it felt like he couldn't do anything right. Long gone were the days of American Pie and the success of its sequels. Jason was in a very dark chapter, and it looked like there was no light at the end of the tunnel. Things in his personal life weren't going great either. He was really struggling with substance abuse, but then decided to gain control and sought help.
I'm like, I can't go to rehab. What if that gets out? And so she's like, I'm going to set you up with a friend of mine who can take you to an AA meeting. What do you know about AA? And I'm like, not much. Cult, right? I decide to meet this woman. And so, yeah, it kind of clicked, if you will, 4 years in.
And to his credit, not only did he decide to go on this path, but he actually committed to it. He stuck to it. He didn't give up. And he's been sober for nearly a decade now. Good for him. And amidst the fight for sobriety, he got some good news. There was going to be a fourth American Pie. Something he didn't take for granted.
I think there was a real appreciation. When we did the other 3 films, we had the antics, and we, I think, appreciated it, and we had a blast. But in the last 8 years, we've all gone, we've worked on other projects, and I think some of the guys especially, we realized, man, this really is the most fun we've ever really had on a project, and how kick-ass. So, antics, let's, we kind of were like, this is awesome. Let's really appreciate this,
I didn't dislike this one, but I thought it was by far the weakest of the bunch. Though one thing that stayed consistent was that because it was an American Pie movie, audiences showed up. He parlayed this into a role in Orange is the New Black, but it was short-lived, and it didn't have the effect on his career that he had hoped for.
Which was a big hit, and I thought for me was a great role. It parlay this right into the next TV thing, golden age of TV. It was slow, man. My expectations were not met. And then I start going, okay, you know what? Fuck that.
By this point, Jason had gone from one of the biggest comedy stars in the world to fighting just to stay relevant, and the next phase of his career would look nothing like the first half. Because the only movie opportunities he was getting at this point were low-budget indies. There were some notable ones, such as Amateur Night, which follows the story of a guy who drives around an escort, which was apparently oddly personal for him.
Did your wife get a hooker for you?
She did. She did.
What, for a birthday?
It was for a birthday.
She's a very liberated woman.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. We had only been together maybe a year or two, but we kind of had been like talking about doing something kind of crazy and fun, and we had a Vegas trip planned, and so we I forget who brought the idea up, probably me. It sounds more scandalous and lascivious than it really was. I mean, the truth is, it became and it's actually in her first book. If anything, it was more for the story than anything else, and it became a wonderful story because everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Then he really changed things up and got dark with the subject. So much so that he was quite hesitant to even take on the role. But I'm glad he did, because he really showed his range in this one and put on a hell of a performance.
He was trying to change his reality, and you could have helped him, but you didn't.
Well, where were you? Huh? Where were you? You were his mother. Wasn't it your job to make sure that he had every opportunity to make something of himself? Wasn't it your job to keep him out of trouble?
He even won several awards for it. This movie clearly got review bombed. I've seen probably 100 movies that were made for under $100 million, such as this one, and it no doubt is in my top 3 of this budget range. In addition to Jason, it's just got brilliant acting all around, and it's got a super strong script. But he would also go on to face his fears and realize a dream of his. Because just last year, he released his directorial debut, which is titled Unentitled Home Invasion Romance.
But I've always wanted to direct. I've always thought I could do it. I see other people do it, and I'm like, I think I could contribute some way, certainly work with actors but I was afraid.
And yet again, this movie was surprisingly really good. Say what you will, but he has great taste in scripts. He showed incredible range as an actor yet again.
Was it Aruba? Jesus Christ.
Kevin, it was such a long time ago.
Not that long?
You're really focusing on the wrong thing here.
That's why you had those tickets. Love at first sight? It was bullshit.
Kevin, that's not true.
And you lied to me about it.
I didn't lie.
And more importantly, he showed he has legitimate directing talent too. The performances weren't just solid, but so was the camera direction as well. If you're interested in my directorial debut, by the way, you can catch it for free on Tubi. I'm so glad he's still getting opportunities today, and I would personally love to work with him at some point. And I just give the guy major props. Not just because he's still standing, but because despite how much the industry's kicked him around, he's still got a great attitude and perspective on everything.
It's been 21 years since the first American Pie movie. Personally, family and all, just life happened, right? And you go, holy shit, man. The fact that I'm still here is fucking incredible.
It's so against the odds.
And who knows? He might just get another crack at American Pie.
An American Pie 5. I know everyone wants it. Where are we at?
Serious talks? I don't know how serious. There's always talks. Yeah. There's always rumbling. I can tell you that I'd love to get back with everybody and do another one if it's the right story, and I think it would be so much fun.
He did unfortunately just separate from his wife, but thankfully it seems to have been quite cordial. Maybe things never turned out the way Jason had hoped for post-American Pie, but he's still got many years ahead of him. You can't help but root for him in the next phase of his career. And believe it or not, the beginning of Jason's career actually wasn't that different from Adam Sandler's. He got fired from his first major acting gig and was told to quit acting by one of his acting professors. I take you on this insane journey here.